Hi kids, it's Julie from Sparklettes Art. Today we're going to be celebrating a really important holiday. You might not have heard of it before. It's called International Talk Like a Pirate Day, and it's every year on September 19th, and that's coming out really soon if you're watching this video right when it comes out. And if you aren't watching it right when it comes out, then you can remember to celebrate next year Talk Like a Pirate Day. But I thought it'd be fun to do a pirate lesson. So I did this pirate penguin, and this pirate penguin has just landed upon this beach and dug up all this treasure. Now, you might have a different type of penguin, a different type of pirate. Your penguin might find different treasure, right? Your penguin might dig something up, and maybe he digs up, I don't know, books. Maybe books are really important to you, but this pirate is looking for gold and gems and jewels. And this penguin pirate is really excited. So we're going to use a black marker. This is a Sharpie or a permanent marker, and I'm going to use watercolors. And these are my watercolors that I'm going to be using today. Now, if you decide to do it in crayons, you see how I did this one in crayons? So that's absolutely fine. Use whatever you have. You might notice that I have small paper that I'm going to do this on today, but I have really big paper here. So choose whatever size paper you want and choose whatever you want to draw with. Just if you're going to use watercolors, make sure your marker is permanent marker. Otherwise, when you put the water on top of it, the marker is going to go everywhere, and you don't want that happening with your poor penguin pirate. Okay, so I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to get out my marker. I'm going to put the cap on the back end so I don't lose it. And we're going to start with our penguin's hat. We're going to start over here on this side of the paper, and we're going to draw a line going up a hill. Now I'm going to start really close to this side of the page, because if I start here, then I'm not going to have enough room for a tree, and I kind of want to draw a tree today. So I'm going to put my penguin way over here by starting his hat over here. I don't want to start it too close to the top, because then I won't have room for a feather. So I'm going to move down the page a little bit, and I'm going to draw a little line going up. And that's the start of his hat. Now, after I draw a line going up, I'm going to draw the letter U. And then I'm going to draw my line going down. And then I'm going to stop. What? I'm not going to finish my hat. Why? Because I don't know where my penguin's head is going to be. So now I'm going to get my penguin. I'm going to figure out, how big do I want my penguin? Do I want like a tall penguin today? Do I want a really short penguin today? I'm going to start my penguin maybe down here, and I'm going to start by doing a big rainbow line. So I'm going to draw a line going up, and right before I get to the hat, I'm going to curve, and I'm going to come down. And then I'm going to connect my lines, just like that. Now I want to give him that white belly. So I'm going to do another rainbow line, but I want to make sure I have room for his eyes and his beak. So I'm going to stick my hand right here to make sure that I leave room for his eyes and his beak. And I'm going to come up and do a rainbow line right underneath my hand. Now, do you notice that I had a little bit more room over here and a little bit less room? This is wider and this is skinnier. That doesn't mean I need to start my drawing over. Penguins are all different, right? So that's the top of his head. So now that I know where his head is, I can connect my hat to his head with two curved lines, just like that. Now I'm going to go back and finish his hat now. In the middle of the U, draw a little rainbow line. Now this is when you get the little bit of the fancy, so it looks like this part's in the front and there's a little part behind. If you want to give him a feather, you can draw a line going up from anywhere on his hat, and then starting at the bottom, do a zigzag line, and then do it again on the other side. So he's got a very important looking feather, because I think this penguin was the captain. So I'm going to give him a skull and crossbones on his hat to make him look even more like a pirate. So right over here, I'm going to draw a little rainbow line, and I'm going to draw a little straight line underneath. On either side of that straight line, I'm going to draw a line going up, just a little tiny one, and then I'm gonna curve my line around, and that's the skull. Then go ahead and use my marker to give my skull some eyes. And if you want to add some teeth, almost like it's chomping, you can do that too. I'm going to go ahead and draw those bones. So I'm going to start by drawing a straight line that's going to go slightly up. And I'm going to do another line right underneath it, parallel lines, and I'm going to join it with a bump on both sides. Now I'm going to draw the other line. Now this bone's going to get in the way. So I'm going to draw my parallel lines, and they're going to hit the bone. They're going to go on the other side of the bone, and then they'll get their bump. So there's my skull and crossbones, and my hat's all done. So let's go back to finishing our penguin. So my penguin, now depending on the color of your penguin, I'm going to show you, we'll bring back my finished piece here. I gave my penguin a really happy eye, and I gave my penguin an eye patch. Now, do you see when I colored my penguin black, how it was really hard to see the eye? So you might choose to do a different type of eye, or you might do the happy line, or you might choose to color your penguin a different color. I think I'm gonna do a rainbow penguin today. So I am going to do a happy line right there for an eye, and then I'm gonna give my pirate like an eye patch. So right, instead of doing another eye that looks like this, I'm going to draw a straight line and a smile line, and I'm going to color it in. And it looks like my eye patch is floating right in the middle of my penguin. So I'm going to draw a line going up to his head and to the other side. Now he's actually wearing his eye patch. Okay, let's give him a beak. So we're going to do a sideways letter V, almost like a carrot, and we're going to complete his beak. Okay, our penguin is only missing a couple of things, and I'm starting to notice something really important. Now, when I did my sample, I gave enough room for my penguin to be holding two things. But look at what I did. I drew this one too far over. Do you think I need to worry about that? Nope. You might not see his other flipper and what he's holding. But what it does mean is I have more room over here to draw more treasure. So I'm not going to worry about it, and I'm just going to keep on going, and I'll just draw the crown on the ground as something that he found instead of in his flipper. So I'm going to draw this one that right on this side first, and it's going to go right off the page. Now, if you have room, I want you to complete his flipper, and I want you to complete his flipper looking like this. So a line going up and then coming back down, almost like a leaf. And he doesn't have to have it sticking up, he can have it down, but if you want him to be holding something and being really excited that he found treasure, then we can put his flipper going up. And I'm going to finish his feet, and then we'll go back and we'll think about what our penguin has found. So at the bottom of our penguin, we're going to draw a line coming out and then bump, bump, straight back to our penguin. And we're going to give him another foot. So line coming out, bump, bump, back to our penguin. Okay, let's figure out, what did our penguin find? I think that our penguin found a pearl necklace, and pearl necklaces are pretty easy to draw because they're a series of little circles joined together. So I'm going to go really slow and stop right there. So he found a pearl necklace. Now, this pearl necklace might have something cool dangling from it, like a pendant. So I think I'm going to draw a oval, almost like there's a pendant dangling from it. And we don't know what's on that pendant. We'll figure out what color I want to make that after. Okay, now it's, where did he find the treasure? Are you ready to draw the hole? So over here, we're going to draw a wobbly line, really wobbly, make it wobbly. So that's where our penguin dug up treasure. And then we're going to draw our tree. If you want to draw a tree, I like to think that my penguin, like the X, marks the spot was at the bottom of a tree. So starting right at the hole, I'm going to draw a line going up. Then I'm going to stop. And I'm going to make this a palm tree. And the way I'm going to do that is by drawing some lines that come out from the center of my tree. Maybe that one will go off. Now that doesn't look much like a tree, does it? So now I'm going to add the other pieces of each of these big palm fronds. So I'm going to do some lines going up. And I'm going to do it on the other side. And then I'm going to turn my paper to make it easy on me so that this line's going up. And I'm going to add my leaves. And then on the other side. And you notice they don't have to be perfect. And then I'm going to do it again on this one. And again, I'm turning my paper to make it a little easier for myself. On one side, and then on the other. Now, some palm trees have coconuts, so if you want to give your palm tree coconuts, guess what? Perfect time to do so. And then you might want to give your palm tree some texture. They have some really interesting bark, and you can draw some letter V's to give it that texture. Okay, we have a problem. Our penguin is just floating in the middle. This is a space penguin. Do you see? There's no ground. How do I know where the ground is? I'm going to draw a horizon line. So that is going to determine where the ground is and where the sky is. So anywhere on your penguin, I want you to draw a line from the penguin off the page and then follow through the penguin with your finger and draw the line on the other side. So now I know that the ground is down here. Now I might decide that there's ocean in the background. So I might decide to draw some waves that you can see in the background. So I can paint this area blue later and this the color of sand. This really isn't enough treasure for my penguin, I don't think. So let's draw some more treasure. You're going to have more or less room depending on where you drew your penguin. So let's talk about some different types of treasure we can draw, and you can decide where the treasure is and how much of it there is. So let's start with a basic gem, like a diamond. So the way we draw a diamond is a short line and a long line under it. We're going to connect these two lines. We're going to draw a big letter V. Two short lines down from the top to the middle line. And then right where these lines touch the middle line, I'm going to connect that line down to the point of my V. So this one stops here. So I'm going to continue down to the V. This one stops here. I'm going to continue down to the V, and I have my first diamond. So let's talk about how to draw a goblet. So like a really fancy drinking cup, right? So we can draw a letter U, and then we can draw an oval at the top. We can draw two short lines for the stem, and then another oval at the bottom. And then we might decorate our goblet or put something, oh, it probably wouldn't have liquid in it if the penguin just dragged it up from the sand, would it? So we'll give it a decoration instead. Okay, what else would our penguin find? Oh, the crown. Let's do a crown. Okay, let's do the crown over here. So for a crown, we're going to draw a line going straight, line going up, zigzag, and then line going down. Now my crown is really fancy, almost has that poofy thing for putting on the monarch's head, so it's going to look like it has a cloud underneath, right? We don't want the crown to be too heavy. We want it to be nice and soft. There might be some gems at the top. You might, in those V's there, and my crown's a little bit small on that page, so I'm going to bring this picture back. If you join in the V's with these little rainbow lines, you can make it look like it's got this cushy red part that's maybe made of velvet on your crown. You can add that too. And then you might want to add some gems on your crown. Okay, what else would you find inside treasure, right? You might find some coins, some gold coins. And you can just do those with little ovals. you might find a ring, right? A ring, and that ring might have, remember how we drew this? You could draw a little version of that. Might be hard to draw that little with a marker, but a little version of your gem ring. More gold, put some gold over here. And you might decide to draw something completely different that your penguin found, but this penguin is pretty excited. You can also draw a shovel lying on the ground somewhere. You might have a shovel like sticking out of the side that the penguin used, or you might have it leaning up against your tree. But I am pretty happy with the way that my penguin looks. So I'm gonna take my marker, I'm gonna put the cap back on, and I'm gonna get out my watercolor paints. Now these are the watercolors I'm using today, and I have lots of color options, and I don't think I'm gonna make my penguin black, but you can if you want. So if you're using watercolors or crayons, it doesn't really matter what you choose to use. So I'm gonna make this captain hat black. Now, if you make your penguin a different color, you might want to consider what the color is in the background of your penguin. So if you really want to make a blue penguin and your sky is blue, your penguin's gonna kind of blend into the back. So my penguin is gonna have blue water and maybe a sunset, so I don't want to pick just those colors for my penguin. You might also notice that my watercolors are a little bit darker in some places than in others. And that's because when you add more water to one of the colors, the color gets lighter. So if you're using black and you want to have a light gray, then you can add more water. And if you want it to be darker, then you want less water. Okay, let me think about my penguin and the colors in here. I want to start by using the light colors when I use watercolors first. So otherwise I'm gonna end up with black colors. So I'm gonna start with using my yellows, and anywhere that I see yellows and oranges, I'm gonna paint those areas first. So my crown is obviously gonna be gold, although your crown might be made of silver or platinum. So it might be a gray color. You might even choose, if you have metallic watercolors that look like this, that are a little bit shimmery, or you might choose, like if you have a gold crayon, that would be the perfect time to get that out. Because you don't have to use just watercolors either, you could use both. I think I'm gonna make this pendant gold. Then I'm gonna get, let's see, am I gonna have any orange? Not really, but I think I'm gonna use like a sandy light brown for the beach. And depending on how small you drew, sometimes it might be a little hard to get in and around these spaces. So if you have crayons and you want to use your crayons to color in the little bits before you add your watercolor, that's also a really good idea. And this is a light brown here. Trying to go around these coins. Probably should have gotten out a gold crayon and maybe colored my coins first. But I think these gold coins probably blend in on the beach. So if I accidentally get some paint, some of this light brown paint on one of them, I don't think it's gonna matter. Now this hole is gonna be deeper. So do you think the sand is gonna be lighter or darker? I think the sand and the dirt under there would be even darker. So when I am going to fill in this hole, I'm going to choose a little bit of a darker brown just for this hole. I might add a little bit of light brown to it. So we just want a little bit darker. And get some water, spread it around. And then the other thing that's going to be brown is my tree, right? So I might choose to go even darker for my palm tree. So I have the light sand, a little bit darker of the hole, and then I have the dark color of the palm tree. Okay, I'm going to add a tiny bit of black just so I can make, whoop, maybe too much black, to make some darker coconuts. And then, let's see, what should I do next? Let's do the penguin beak, penguin feet, and I'm choosing orange. So even though my penguin might end up multicolored, I think I'm going to keep with the orange for the beak and the feet. And notice how I'm skipping around the page, trying to think, what do I want to paint next? It's okay to skip around. If you want to paint some of the penguin and then you want to go off and paint the tree, that's okay when you're creating. I'm going to make this feather the same color as that part of the hat. Okay, and then I'm still trying to decide what color my penguin's going to be. So I'm painting around him. Do you notice that? Because I kind of want to know what colors are going to be around my penguin before I finally decide what color is my penguin. And I didn't think he's going to be black, but you never know. I'm painting my ocean now. I used a light blue, but now I'm going to come in with a dark blue, and I'm going to give it some little lines here to give it a little bit more variety in the color. I'm going to come back, and I think I'm going to paint my gem bright blue. Maybe it's a sapphire. And I'm grabbing green next for some of my gems here. And then my green is also going to be for this tree. But I'm going to start with the light green first. So I'm going to get my light green out. And with watercolors, I'm going to paint right over the lines that I drew. I want it to look very leafy and green. And I'm using light green first because then I'm going to come back in with some dark green and add a little bit of contrast and shadow. Okay. Whoops, accidentally hit my coconuts. Okay, here's my dark green. So just a little bit, maybe along the main lines, just in a few places. And it gives it a little bit of variety. There we go. Okay, now we have the penguin, we have this pearl necklace, and pearl necklaces, you know, sometimes, let's choose a completely different color. Maybe these are rubies that have been polished into these stones. It can be whatever we want it to be. Okay, now I don't want to make the sky blue because see, I have that blue ocean. So it's got to be a different color blue, or it has to be a different color sky. So I'm going to start off with some yellow in the background. And just add some light marks here, so I'm not going to be too perfect. So some of that white can shine through too, and maybe a little bit of orange above that, so it almost looks like a sunset. You notice how I'm not being too perfect with painting? I'm just adding some lines, just adding a little bit of color to the background. You don't always have to try to get in those little nooks and crannies. And then let's put a darker, that really pretty, this color that we used for that necklace at the very top. And again, I'm just using some lines. So I'm not painting every little nook and cranny. I'm allowing some of that white to show up. Okay, I think it's time to figure out what color I want my penguin. Now I have some red, I have some orange, some yellow, some green, some blue. Guess what? Might have to be a purple penguin. Anyone who knows me knows that I love purple. I think that I'm actually going to start with purple at the bottom, and maybe I'll add some other colors as we go up. But you know, the purple pirate penguin is kind of fun to say. So let's add the purple, and then we can choose to mix some colors in there, right? So let's see if I can find a dark blue, add a touch of purple. So now it's a different color of purple. Adding a little bit of, there we go. See, I made a little bit of a different color of purple by grabbing the purple and mixing a little bit of blue into it. And you can kind of experiment. Anyone who knows me probably knows that we were going to end up with a purple penguin, because I do like the way that it sounds. Purple pirate penguin. And you can see how many times you can say that fast. And I am almost done with my purple pirate penguin. I think he's going to have the name Pete. Pete the purple pirate penguin. Oh, and then, you know, I was going to say we're done, but look. I think I'm going to add some purple to the crown. I forgot this goblet down here. So I'm going to come back in with some dark gray to make it look silver. There we go. Okay, now he's done. So I hope you enjoyed painting Pete the purple pirate penguin with me, and I hope you create your own penguin with your own treasure. And then next week I'm gonna come back and we're gonna be working on this one. These are the silly sunflowers, and this one's singing so loud and this one's surprised. So that's gonna be next week. I didn't want to miss out on Talk Like a Pirate Day. So have fun creating your pirate penguins, and I'll be back next week. Bye everyone.